Hey, I am Riggers. Thanks for dropping in. Today I want to talk about and unpack Forza Horizon 6 and what is a bit of a controversy regarding the game's golden wristband. Now, for those who don't know, the game has a progression system similar to the first game where you do a certain amount of events, you get what's called horizon points, and then you move up to the next coloured wristband. They go up colours like blue, green, orange, purple, pink, and the last wristband you get is the golden one. Now, where the controversy comes in is the fact that the game basically runs out of races. Now, there seems to be two arguments to this. I'm going to try and mostly go over each side's argument in an impartial way, and then I'll give my view. So, on the one side, you've got people who say that the game runs out of content, the game runs out of races, and having to grind what's called the PR stunt, so driving across a stretch of road at a top speed, driving from the top of like a hill to the bottom of a hill in about 30 seconds, the Trailblazer events, doing speed traps where you go through one speed camera, then go through another speed camera and it calculates your average speed, taking photographs of all the cars and as many cars as you can in the game, and a few other different challenges. Some people say that they think that's too grindy, that it's not like proper main content. I see it be described as slop, grind fest, padding up the game time, filler content, the devs gave up, laziness. So there's a lot of opinions on that side. On the other side, you've got people firing back at that side, saying the opposition, as you like, of people who are complaining about having to do these other events as TikTok addicted teenagers. There's people who say, imagine buying a game and complaining about it having content. Bro's just mad he can't complete the game in 3 days. Why are you crying about having content in your open world game? I've not done any races, but I'm on the purple wristband. I haven't had to grind anything, but I'm still progressing in the game. So there's a lot of opinions on that side about people who don't see the issue, who are happy to accept any and all content the game throws at them, no matter how miscellaneous it might seem, or no matter how much it deviates from the core gameplay of racing, if it even involves racing at all. And some people who seem to not actually care about the racing aspect of the game and just want an open world map just to drive around. I guess more akin to something like Train Simulator or Flight Simulator, where you've got the vehicle and you're sort of going around. And these people, some of them probably want to have. There's a lot of people who have steering wheel setups, don't they? So I guess there's a lot of people who just enjoy the experience of driving around Japan, which is a lovely setting in the game. And they aren't really bothered about the racing as much as just taking it all in and taking the time with it. Now, where I'm at is somewhere between both groups. What I'd say, let's view it as a triangle. You've got two extreme opinions of relative hostility here, which are both pathetic. And the vocal majority, most people who are vocal on the internet, they're not very developed. When they're not developed maturely, they haven't developed basic levels of maturity because they're firing back with snipey arguments. So the vocal majority of what you'll find on places like Steam or Reddit or wherever else, when it comes to some sort of complaint about something or an issue, usually both sides of the fence are quite petty, because even the right side or the more logical side might just be resorting to insults to the other. So it's childish either way. Where I see it is somewhere between both arguments, but above, if that makes sense. So like I say, view it as a triangle. Here's the ones who think the game doesn't have enough races and doesn't have enough content. Here's the ones who think they're just whinging and you should take your time with the game. I think it should be somewhere in between, because here's my view. Racing is my favourite genre, whether it's more arcadey or more realistic. Countless individual racing games and franchises I love. I love Midnight Club, Burnout, Flat Out, Project Gotham Racing, Speed Devils, the World Rally Championship games, the Formula 1 games, V Rally, Sega Rally, the Mario Kart games, the Sonic Racing games, Gran Turismo, whatever it may be. I love racing games, right? I recently played through all of Forza Motorsport 7, to its completion to get in the Forza Cup. I didn't need to do every single race or championship. There was a lot of, in each bracket of events, each cup, there was always a lot more races and championships available than you needed to complete. So you were never short for races. Going from that, and going from all the previous Forza Horizons to, and I'm going from pretty much any racing game I've ever played in my whole life, or any game ever really. I mean, there are a few games in other genres I can think of that weren't very good, where they sort of gate off being able to do the next thing between loads of miscellaneous filler content. Like, you can't go here and do this story content because you have to do this random fetch quest and you have to do this and you've got to level up this, and just pointless filler really. Something which I think the Yakuza games are quite guilty of, but that just seems to be their style for whatever reason. 2 hours of serious story content, then an hour of chasing someone in a giant nappy and attacking a chicken or something. They're just bonkers. It mostly works for those games to a degree, but that's a whole other video. But for the most part, I mean, let's say you're playing a Call of Duty campaign, it'd be a bit weird if it's like, no, we can't follow Makarov because we have to go and clean the canteen, and then we've got to polish all our guns, we've got to take selfies, and then we've got to do a time attack challenge and defeat all the training dummies in 2 minutes. Then we can go and find Makarov. That'd be a bit weird, wouldn't it? I can't really see people accepting that and saying, oh, just, imagine complaining that the games are extra content. It's a bit of a weird one. Now, where I see it is, all those, PR stunts, speed, racing, whatever, taking photos, that's nice. It's nice to be able to take photos. It's a nice thing that the game gives you a small reward for that in the form of, for each unique car you take a photo of, you get some Horizon points. The speed trap challenges are a nice thing. The Trailblazer, they're nice miscellaneous extra content to build upon the game, but they're not the main part of the game itself. The main part of any racing game is the races. Forza Horizon is a racing franchise, not a car exploration franchise. If racing was just an extra add-on to it, then fair enough. If it was actually about the exploration, but it's not. It's a racing franchise. It's a racing game. I'd happily play the game because I've seen some people whinging. Imagine wanting to rush the game and just get to the golden wristband. I have no interest in rushing the game, and I've certainly never used or installed TikTok either. In relation to that argument of people who wanted to speed through it must be some social media adult person. I don't use social media. I've always thought social media is a bit sad, to be honest. But for me, I'll happily play a racing game for 40, 50, 60 hours in a playthrough, and I do so many races. A great racing game has excellent races to it. You have so many championships, so many different varieties of events. You might have a championship that's dedicated just towards using, I don't know, let's say it's the Nissan Skyline Cup, or this whatever challenge and blah blah blah. You've got all these different structure to different events, and Forza Horizon 6 just doesn't seem to have that. It could have so many more races in it. I thought of this the other day. It could do something just as simple as you've gotten to the gold wristband, so now you've unlocked the mirrored version or the reverse version of every single race in the whole game. That, in my mind, would be, if they didn't want to develop any more tracks than they had done, an easy way to add more race events to the game while giving the player more enjoyment of exploring an alternate version of every race they've done. Now, I imagine there's a few races where they might not be able to do mirrored or reverse versions for whatever reason, but it genuinely boggles the mind to me, because I don't want to speed through the game. I'm not interested in speeding through the game, and I don't think that the miscellaneous events and the PR stunts shouldn't be in the game either. But nor do I think that people are babies for whinging about wanting more races because it's a racing game. A racing game that runs out of races is just mental. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And I know some of the more recent Need for Speed games in the last decade, or maybe more than that, haven't been that great. But even they have races. They might not be the greatest to play, but they still have races in the racing game. And the same goes for pretty much any other racing franchise I can think of. I mean, I'm sure if someone wanted to do a one-upmanship, they could find, oh, here's this really trash shovelware racing game that doesn't really have races. Well, that's fantastic, but Forza Horizon 6 is supposed to be like one of Microsoft's big games. The last one came out years ago, didn't it? Like half a decade ago or something. It boggles the mind. Because here's the thing, I don't really care about the Golden Wristband. I'm playing Forza Horizon because I want to play races. I don't mind a variety of events. Thinking specifically to the Project Gotham racing games, you have cone challenges, you have time attacks, you have elimination races, different games that have different race events. Look at Burnout. Burnout has the crash mode, where like half of the game you spend hours and hours and hours not actually racing. You drive into traffic and smash up as much traffic as possible to score points, and that's amazing. It's a really well developed mode. Your racing game doesn't have to be all racing if the other content is really well developed and genuinely really fun. Now for Burnout, for Project Gotham Racing, it is. Flat Out as well, specifically Flat Out Ultimate Carnage. It's got so many different extra things in that. You've got a beat the bomb where you have to race to a certain thing a certain amount of time or you explode. You've got all the different stunts where you fly up and you can do like human darts. You eject your driver out of the car and fly up and stick to a dartboard. You've got car bowling, destruction derbies in any game. They're always fantastic. Smashing into other cars, they're brilliant, like in Wreckfest as well as Flat Out. Road Rage, which is in the Burnout games, and Recreation, which is basically Burnout Paradise 2, made by some of the same people. Smashing all the other cars while driving along a road. That's kind of like Destruction Derby, but like on rails, isn't it? So, but Forza Horizon could have any of those sorts of events, but it doesn't. It doesn't have any genuinely well developed alternate modes other than the racing. It might be nice to go past a speed camera and take a picture of your car. The nice extra things to do. The nice little decorative baubles and beads, little icing on the cake, little chocolate stars, but they're not the actual sponge and the jam itself. They're like little icing decorations. The main depth of the cake should be races, race events, and different proper activities and well-developed modes to do in your car, not taking little photos and speeding down a mountain for 25 seconds. And then it's got, is it pronounced Toge and street races, but they don't actually contribute towards the Horizon Wristband, which is annoying because as fun as those events are, and I know I said I'm not necessarily really bothered about getting to the Horizon Wristband, but I do want to be able to try those last few races. So it's annoying that on the one hand, it's not that I'm bothered about getting the wristband. I don't just want to, I'm addicted to completing games and just moving on. I'm happy to spend my time with the game. I'm happy to dedicate days or weeks or a month or more than of on-off time when I've got free time to play games in between work and whatever. I'm happy to spend my time with the game, but it needs to have the substantial content. And all my other favourite racing games, they have that. They have the races. I don't care about grinding necessarily. I'm thinking about Sega GT, Gran Turismo. You can be doing the same few races over and over again just to get credits and money to be able to get better parts for your car, so they're more competitive. So that might be an hour. So just like with a JRPG, if you're grinding to improve your car and improve things so you can do more races and progress in the game, I don't mind that level of grinding. But doing what's essentially filler activity, the sort of thing that feels like, if I'm going to be honest, it reminds me of the sort of mindless activity you do on like an app. Well, I almost expect an energy bar to appear and say you've run out of energy tokens, you want to spend $3.99 to refill your energy. It just feels very much, on the commute, sort of tapping on your phone, sort of mindlessness. It's not fun. As soon as I'd got to the point where there's no actual races left to do, I just got bored because I'm there for the racing, and I'm not really interested in grinding all these miscellaneous events. I've done several hours of them already, and they're just absolutely mind-numbing. So having them as something to naturally do in the game world when I'm driving around, and think, oh, I'll take that on, or I'll go do that. That's fair enough. But to do nothing but them for hours at a time is awful. And an extension to that, I also really dislike the cross-country events. I think they're largely all trash. I disliked pretty much every single one of them. I think the game could do with a lot more of the street races, not street races, the road races, whatever they're called. The ones with the blue icon. There was nowhere near enough of them for me, because I do prefer just racing just straight on tarmac, which, like almost every other racing game. But I knew Forza Horizon, part of its charm is it has all these different things. So I like the road racing, the track racing, but the cross-country races in any of the Forza Horizon games is not usually my thing. I try my best at them. Even if I went back and got first on all them, because I missed out on first on most of them, that still only get me probably about another 700 or 800 Horizon points. I'm still like 6,500 off even after that, which is horrific. There's just not enough races in the game, and you wouldn't expect it of any other game. You don't go blazing through levels in Sonic the Hedgehog and all of a sudden, you meet a stone wall, and it's like, to open this wall, you must do 5 star jumps and go back and blah blah blah, and it's just a bit rubbish. I mean, even in some games where, like, thinking of Mario games where it might be like, or Rayman and a few other games, you can't get to this level because you haven't got enough collectible rabbits or whatever it may be, so you have to go back and find all the little hidden rabbits in the old levels. Well, that's still, you're doing new areas and solving new little puzzles that you might have missed originally in levels, so you're still following that main gameplay loop. It's not making you, as Mario, take pictures of flowers and climb up and down ladders in a time challenge. It's still the main gameplay loop. I don't care how many hours I put into Forza Horizon 6 if I'm actually doing races. So it's not, I'm not complaining. I didn't have to grind because what I did is I just played the game, you adult teenager who's addicted to social media. It's a very patronising view people have. But like I said, on the other hand, I don't think people should say that these miscellaneous events and activities shouldn't be in the game at all, because the background flavour, the nice little extra things to do, and I didn't mind doing bits of them to tide me over to getting the wristband threshold in the previous wristbands when it wasn't as horrific a goal of 12,000 points as it is now for the gold wristband. But I've not touched the game for a few days because I'm just bored of it. I'm probably just going to wait to see if they actually add more races to the game, or just ditch it and probably not go back to it, because I'm not interested, and I highly doubt I'll do a second playthrough of it either. I don't know what it is about the Forza Horizon games, but it's still, I've played all of them to that end point, but it's only the first one that still really sticks in mind as a really, really, really good racing game. The second one was kind of, The third one, I forget, to be honest. It's just kind of the one that existed and I don't remember anything about. The fourth game was really good, and I did enjoy the fifth game, despite all its horrible, cringy characters. And yeah, I think the world sometimes could be a bit boring, but I mean, it's based on mechs, so they can't physically make... I mean, they're only ever going to be able to make each location as interesting as the source material for that location is. So I think it was interesting for what they did with it. I certainly haven't played many open world Mexican games, if any, set in Mexico, but for me, Forza Horizon 6, it plays and handles as well as any other Forza Horizon, but a racing game needs races, and Forza Horizon 6 just doesn't have them. I don't know why. I think it's a ludicrous decision. A racing game should have races. It should have races coming out the wazoo, to use that expression. Is that an American expression? I don't know. So it's just very disappointing. Having other modes and other challenges and other events should either be part of the game, or it could even be half of the game. For example, talking about Burnout 3, half the game is the crash mode. And there's dozens and dozens and dozens, maybe even like 100 or something crash mode events that you don't race in at all. And it works well because it's really fun. But without that other sort of main mode that's genuinely really appealing, I think the game kind of falls flat on its arse. I don't think people should be, but people in fandoms, you always do, don't they? They shouldn't be insulting each other, and they shouldn't be having tantrums on either side of the fence. But you should be able to have all those miscellaneous events for people who want a more chilled experience, if that's what they want, but also have more races. The game should have so many races, so you can pick and choose. Each player should be able to pick and choose the content they want to engage with. It shouldn't be like, there's no more races, go do all the filler stuff, because you should be able to balance it. If you want to do just driving around the open world map and just doing little filler activities to get token amounts of points, and I realise that's making me sound patronising with it, but they genuinely are filler activities. They're not the main thing, and they do give you small amounts of points. I'm just being factual. If people want to do that and just to, that they have no intention or don't even care about getting to that endpoint, that's fine. But for me, like I said, I both do and don't care about getting the golden wristband. I do care about being able to access the rest of the game's races, like the Goliath and the Colossus, but I don't necessarily care about, I just want to, pat myself on the back and just rush through it. I don't care about rushing to that end goal. I want to naturally get there, but in a way that's actually enjoyable. So all the people screaming "get good" and crying and having tantrums are, like I say, pathetic, because getting emotional over a piece of interactive fiction is just sad, and they need to reevaluate the life choices, especially because most of them are way older than me. So it's just a bit tragic. But I don't think it's unreasonable to want or to expect your racing game to have races and to have enough races to actually last the game. But that's just my view and my overview of each side of the argument. Yeah. So I'm thoroughly bored of the game. I've stopped playing it because there's nothing more left for me to do with it. I'm playing other racing games now and actually get into a race. But let me know your thoughts on it. And yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.